Tried to go to one of your favorite restaurants somewhere around Kansas City yesterday and would have realized that there were a lot of places that just sat empty. I know that some restaurants are closed on Monday, but that's not what was going on yesterday. In Kansas City, Missouri, stretch of Southwest Boulevard, you obviously have some of the most authentic Hispanic food in the region. And it was not bustling with customers yesterday. You had many of the prominent, locally owned and operated Hispanic restaurants closed. And the same thing was happening in other parts of the metro, including in Olathe, where Fox 4 ran this story.
In response to President Trump's anti-immigration policies, restaurants across the Kansas City metro say they're taking a stand. They're closing for one day, marking a day without immigrants. Fox 4's Reagan Porter talks with a family taking part at El Taco Mundo in Olathe.
El Taco Mundo is closed. The family who owns this restaurant tells me the doors are closed for one day only in support of a day without immigrants.
I hope everyone realizes what it is to be without an immigrant. I mean, we bring so much to this country.
Alondra Ramirez.
It's exhausting. And as I sit here at 9:06 on a Tuesday morning, I'm not mad. I actually have empathy for people who fall for this stuff and get tricked into doing this stuff and lose business because they're buying into this hook, line, and sinker. The notion that this administration, Tom Homan, the head of ICE, Donald Trump, is like going into Mexican restaurants and just dragging people out of them who are here legally, who may have a green card, who have a right to work here, and they're sending them back. Well, if that was happening, you know and I know, there would be local news stories about it, and there would be a lot of national news stories about it. They are trying the same old tired playbook from 8 years ago. And honestly, I'm surprised by how unoriginal this playbook is, based on the fact that Donald Trump is doing exactly the things that he promised he would do, and the American people overwhelmingly said, yeah, I want that. I'm interested in that, John. I'd like more of it. More, please. May I have another?
You're a better man than I. Your empathy. I have none.
I know. I know.
This is what the useless idiots deserve. You know, you get what you deserve. You're the product of your choices. So go ahead and close and lose, what, a couple $100 today?
At least.
You know, you still got to pay the electricity bill, still got to pay the rent, gas, water.
We're going to show Trump by losing our own money.
Was that paid time off for all your employees? PSing, by the way?
Yeah, good question. But this happened all over the country yesterday. It was called the Day Without Immigrants protest in several United States cities. It went viral on social media Sunday after what they call on this Gray News article from KCTV5, pro-immigrant organizations. Well, I'm pro-immigrant. I am pro-legal immigration. Most Americans are, as far as I can tell. I mean, I know Donald Trump is. He said as much, right? He's talked extensively about making sure we have good immigrants coming to America who want to become Americans, who want to contribute to our economy. That's not who we're talking about here. The people who are getting deported are people who are here illegally, who have committed some of the most heinous crimes in the country. You're talking about murder in some cases. You're talking about rape, assault. I mean, these are horrible things that a lot of these individuals who are getting deported have done. And, you know, when I hear people say, oh, boy, it's all about, you know, helping our economy, and that's all these individuals are here to do, not the ones that they are deporting right now, okay? Don't forget this. There was a House GOP report last year that found the migrant crisis could end up costing taxpayers up to $451 billion. That was a House Homeland Security Committee report that dropped in August of this past year. Each taxpayer is on the hook for an average of $956 due to the illegal immigration crisis. And that's the cost of government housing, cost of health care, the strain on, all of your government-run systems. That's the reality. Not about hating anybody. It's not about sitting there and saying, gosh, we don't need immigrants. Of course we do. Frankly, we're not having enough children right now. Americans are failing in that department, so we do need immigrants to keep America's growth up, sad to say, because people aren't having kids at the rate they have to have kids. We're not having kids at the replacement rate right now. So, yes, we need immigration. But to shut down your restaurant in Olathe or shut down your restaurant on Southwest Boulevard because you're going to stick it to Trump or something? My gosh, look in the mirror and think this through for 5 seconds. And you realize that you are nothing but a pawn in this game in Washington, D.C. that is being played by people who are advocating for illegal immigration and for some reason want to keep illegal immigrants housed around the country because they think it's good for their political party that they prefer to see elected. That's it. There is no other reason to advocate for criminals who are in the country illegally to stay in the country. Please make that case to me. I'd love to hear it at 913-408-7957. Please make it. I doubt you can, but there are people who might try to make it, I suppose, and I'm all here for it. I'm all ears. But, man, that's not what this is about. And now Kansas City restaurants are like, yeah, we're going to shut down and lose money over this. Well, to that I say good riddance. You're just hurting yourself. My gosh. You think, Trump's going to announce today on Truth Social that he's going to stop deportations of criminal illegal aliens because he feels bad for the restaurant in downtown Olathe? What point are you proving? And all you're potentially doing is losing customers because there's going to be a lot of people who see the story and say, I'm not going there. Paul's in Kansas City. What's going on, man?
Hey, Pete, yeah, I just find it ironic, the hypocrisy, that they never shut their doors for a day when Laken Riley was murdered by the illegals or the 12-year-old girl in Houston that was murdered and thrown into a creek like a bunch of garbage. They never shut their doors then. So, where's your values at?
Yeah, that seemed to not make the cut for reasons they would close their doors, right, and have a day of solidarity. It's interesting how that works, man. You're right.
Yes, sir.
Oh, gosh. I mean, that's case in point right there. And those are the people at the top of the list that you don't want in the country. And if you're a Latino, and people think I am based on my last name, but I'm not. I'm just half Italian. But if you're a Latino and you're here legally or you're here on a green card, visa, whatever it might be, why would you stand in solidarity with those who have broken the law? Because they happen to have like a similar skin color to you. That I don't get either. Brian and Lee Summit, go ahead. You're on KCMO.
Hey, Pete. I just wanted to chime in because I feel like it's good intentions and it's got to get way worse before it can get better. It kind of strikes back to what you were talking about, the DMV. The process of a DMV is overcomplicated, and it doesn't need to be. The process of maintaining or gaining citizenship is extremely complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people that are here illegally. There's a better way to go about it to simplify the system so that we can document people, like they can establish a system, like just simplify it. Because there's working people that pay taxes, they pay sales taxes. Like there's a much simpler solution to this besides like just boiling it down to you're here illegally, that's the crime, you're gone. Mm-hmm. And so like there's a huge gray area in how we can actually go about it. That's my thought on it.
And I would agree the system appears to be overly complex. That's the government for you, right? But that doesn't excuse anybody breaking the law, especially if they've broken the law to get here, and then they've broken our laws once they're here as well. Like, I see what you're talking about with the gray area, but what's going on right now in the first couple of weeks of the administration is not really involving the gray area.
I know, I understand that, but I mean, there's still, it's all different cases. There's the guy in Florida. It was like a big story where he voted for Trump and then his wife gets deported, but she didn't have a criminal record. And there's like those circumstances where yes, you can admit that they're here legally, but
how are they? I don't know the story. How are they married? She's illegal and he's an American citizen who can vote.
I mean, they might have been married abroad. I don't know all the details.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
it's one of the typical social media.
Yeah. All right. No, I get it, Brian, and you're right. I see that there's a day and time for that conversation, but that's not where we're at right now. 913-408-7957. And these poor businesses in Kansas City are putting themselves in the line and potentially hurting their future business as well by highlighting the fact that they are falling hook, line, and sinker for an MSNBC narrative, which is what they're doing. 913-408-7957. Pete Mundo on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. Well, it's an excellent point on the text line. Pete, if these Hispanic restaurants wanted to prove their point and shut down to push back on Donald Trump here in Kansas City, they should have had the cojones to do it on a Taco Tuesday.
That would have got my attention.
Yeah, that would have gotten a lot of people's attention, right? I mean, instead, you do it on a Monday when, as a lot of you note, many of those restaurants on Southwest Boulevard are closed on Monday. I will stand in solidarity by doing something I do
every day,
every week on a Monday. Okay, yeah, you're going to show them. Show me, man. Trump, what's going on here? My gosh. It's exhausting is what it is. And it's like completely unnecessary. Jeff in Arizona, what's going on, man? You're on KCMO.
Hey, I'm doing great. First of all, I got to apologize. I haven't listened to your show for the last couple months. And my friends have been calling me up and go, have you been listening to Mundo? And I said, man, I have not, but I'm going to start listening tomorrow, man.
Well, anyway. I'm glad you're here. So what are you on the are you a transplant from Kansas City on the app right now?
Yeah, I'm a snowbird. I've been out here for like the last 8 years from January to April. So,
well, I'm glad your friends are checking on you and making sure you're tuning in every morning.
Well, have you been listening to Mundo? I said, nah, man. So today's my first day. I just want to reach out and say, listen, the day after the election, I live in Shawnee. The day after the election, I went to my local McDonald's in Shawnee. It's 75th and Neiman Road. I think it's owned by a Hispanic family. And I get through the line, and the girl that greets me every day, she goes, how you doing today? I said, I'm doing really good. She goes, no, really, how you doing today? With a big grin. And I said, look. I am happy that Donald Trump won. But I'm going to also tell you this. I'm not an old, fat, racist white guy. I said, I want you here, man. I want you here. I go, this is probably one of the best McDonald's in the Kansas City area. I want you here, man. But I want you documented, and I want you paying Social Security. I go, I want the good people here, man. I want you here. We got jobs here. And I go back to the same old thing, Pete. We had this thing called Ellis Island, and it worked perfect, man. We just need that to bring that kind of bringing people in and setting them up and keep the good and get rid of the bad. It's that simple, man.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Is this person at McDonald's, was this individual an illegal, or were you just kind of having the conversation making that assumption?
Well, she brought it up to me. She was grinning like it was the day after election. She just goes, you're doing good today, aren't you? And I said, no. Listen, I go, I drive through Shawnee Mission Park on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And I said, it's full of Hispanic people. It's full of Indian people. I go, you guys are family-oriented. When I go in a nursing home, man, I don't see Hispanic people. I don't see Indian people. They take care of their family. You know, they're religious. They're pro-life. I want you here, man. But I don't want murderers and rapists and stuff and having to spend $80,000 to $90,000 to $100,000 a year of my tax dollars to incarcerate them. I want you here, man. Mm-hmm. I want the best of the best.
I totally agree. Well, Jeff, I'm glad you're back on the wagon, listening to the show, and I'm glad your friends are pressuring you to do that.
Hey, I pressured them all to start listening to you in the first place, so that's what they're upset about the most. So.
They're just checking back on you, man. That's great work. And send some of that warm air from Arizona this way when you can.
That's pretty nice. I'll talk to you guys later.
Oh, now I'm getting jealous. I don't need any of that. But that sounds like a totally reasonable guy with a reasonable conversation that he's having with somebody, saying, here's the nuance of what this is about. And the reality is the American people aren't buying what some of these groups and media outlets are selling because new poll dropped last night from Morning Consult. Trump's approval rating is 14 points above water. His approval numbers are at 52%, the disapproval 38%. That from Morning Consult in the last week, not like some right-wing polling outfit. It's one of your mainstream media polling outfits. Morning Consult has Trump plus 14 right now. This stuff is largely popular with the American people. But you have these groups and media outlets acting like it's 2017 all over again. Frank in Platte City, you're on KCMO. What's happening, Frank?
Hello. I was telling the guy that answered the phone that I was going to the pain clinic at KU. Now, I saw all the illegals at the front main doors. I speak Spanish, so I am Mexican. And, I mean, a lot of them. But what happened was they don't pay the bills because they know they get it free. They ended up closing the clinic I was going to, a pain clinic. And so I was going there for 12 years. My doctor told me that she didn't want to let the cat out of the bag, but that was the reason why they had to close it, because there wasn't the money coming in. The money wasn't coming in. So I was left hanging without a doctor, without a clinic to go to, because I'm a double amputee. I was a Marine, and I still am. But I can't find any other doctors that will help me. But what happened to me is happening to a lot of people. They're not getting the medicines. They're not getting the help because somebody's got to pay these bills. And when they can't pay them, they shut it down. It's not right. Mm-hmm. It's not right. So that's my story. And I was born and raised down there on Southwest Boulevard. That was my own stomping grounds. Mm-hmm. So I seen a lot of things come in before I-35 came in. And they did have illegals come in, but they were doing it right. Mm-hmm. My grandparents did it right.
Yeah.
You know, when you've been here 30 years and you say, I've been here 30 years and I've been good, well, then you had time to become legal.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Frank, I appreciate your service. I appreciate your story. Because those are the stories that, Kansas City media won't tell, right? They're not interested in that story, in your story. And here you are, a man who served this country, sacrificed for this country. You're a double amputee, and you can't get the health care that you need right now.
That's true.
Wow.
I'm still trying.
Well,
I mean, but I've tried about every doctor in Kansas City, so I'm just... I just live here in pain.
Well, keep us posted, Frank, on how things are going, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. 913-408-7957.